Hello there. After an unforgettable 17 days of intense sporting drama, today we're offering a hand to help fill the Olympic void. It's knockout football. It's the first round of the League Cup in its new guise, the Capital One Cup. Well, it's already been 6 months since Liverpool beat Cardiff in that dramatic shootout in the Wembley final. Well, it all restarted again this week with 92 clubs dreaming of cup glory. And I'm here at Swindon's county ground with all the news from a frantic first round. Here's what else is coming up. Celebrated as players, they're two of the brightest stars in the managerial game. The boss of newly promoted Swindon, Paolo Di Canio, goes head-to-head with Brighton's Gus Poyet. The Football League's newest member, Fleetwood Town, have a golden opportunity to make the headlines as they meet the Championship's Nottingham Forest. Sheffield Wednesday timed their promotion bid to the Championship to perfection in May. We'll find out how Dave Jones' side got on at League One's Oldham. And the first round has produced another goal fest with all the action and a few upsets from a cracking start to the competition. Well, we start the show here at the county ground as Paolo Di Canio's Swindon, newly promoted to League One of course, take on Gus Poyet's Brighton, a side that spent much of last season in contention for a place in the Premier League. As for the team news, well, Swindon Town had competitive debuts to 4 of their summer signings: Troy Archibald Henville, Andy Williams, Tommy Miller and former Brighton midfielder Alan Navarro. For the Seagulls, well, their most notable inclusion was the former England left-back Wayne Bridge, who's on a season-long loan from Manchester City. So let's join our match commentator, Jonathan Ledgard.
Two of the most passionate managers going head-to-head. Paolo Di Canio, promoted in his first season at Swindon, and Gus Poyet returning to Swindon, once assistant here, now in his 4th at Brighton. Bridge. Good progress. Barnes at the far post, and that was a push. But picked out well. Jay McEverley, the man who was pushed there by Barnes. Bruno. Vicente. Bridge might try it, does so. But he's wide. Always curling away from Fotheringham's goal. Bridge again, good space. Comes down to Bruno, good save. Still not clear, Bridge again. Now to Noon. Good pressure by Brighton, Barnes goes down, but referee unimpressed. What about this shot though, took a deflection as well. But first time, great save. Vicente, and that's over. So much pressure for Brighton and the more chances, but yet to break the deadlock. Williams. Away here now, still Williams, and brought down just as the Swindon forwards, the rest of the team were joining him. Wayne Bridge there just getting in a foot. Navarro is there, Benson lurking as well. Williams, Benson, and Swindon have scored! The man who pepped them up to their promotion charge last season, and he's already underway. And Brighton can have no complaints, and Di Canio at last has a smile. Bridcut brings it away for Brighton. Noon available. This is promising. Vicente lurking. It's found him. Good touch, good save. Second chance in the second half. Shrugged off his marker, but the keeper equal to it. Oh, gets away. Williams still going strong. Navarro, and it's 2-0. Alan Navarro, given a free transfer by Brighton, scores against them. It's his debut for Swindon Town. And the manager, you can tell what he thinks of any supporters who've been giving him any abuse about the fact that Brighton have had the better chances, because now his team, Swindon Town, lead 2-0. Swindon pressing, looking for three. De Vita goes across, beaten out by Thomas Kuszczak. On his debut for Brighton, Bruno there with that bandage around his head wound, also making his debut. Kuszczak had to be aware. Ritchie, time and space here. Good move, brings it through and just cleared by Dunk. And Brighton didn't know too much about that. It was De Vera with a little flick and Dunk just cleared. Navarro, oh, 3-0. Unbelievable. He only scored one goal for Brighton in the 70 appearances or so that he made for the club, and here he is on his debut for Swindon, scoring 2 goals. Took a deflection, but Kuszczak no real chance. Swindon into round 2. Gus Poyet, an unhappy return to the county ground.
Paolo, very well done. Architects of a giant-killing act tonight, but it didn't look that way after the first 45, did it?
No, but the first 45 off the ball we did very well, because we know that they have a very good possession and they can kick with the ball for all the 90 minutes if they want. But you know, it doesn't mean that if you accept their possession you are passive or you are inferior. We studied them against Chelsea, Reading, the last 2 games they have played in a friendly, and we discovered that we should go through this way and frustrate them, don't let them go through, because they want always, there is this ball on the ground in the pocket, and maybe from there build their chances for score. We didn't give it to them even one.
Well, I guess that wasn't part of the script to come back to the club, of course, which almost started your career in management.
And it was a typical cup game, no? Where it looks in paper and during periods in the first half that you can be in control, but this game is about putting the ball in the net. And when somebody put it before you, you start risking and making wrong decisions, and that what happened today. So credit to Swindon as well, that they played the game that they planned, and it worked very well for them.
And a word for Alan Navarro. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? I mean, you only said bye to him in May, and here he is haunting you.
I think, to be honest, and personally, me, is the only happy part of this game. You know, that somebody like Navs, who was so important for me, and the things that he done for our football club, it was to then goal. I said to Paolo anyway, Di Canio, don't expect any more goals from Navs in this season. That's it, that's over. But I'm pleased for him there.
That was the perfect debut, wasn't it, from Alan Navarro?
I think absolutely yes, because if I'm not wrong, in 85 games for Brighton he scored only once. Tonight he scored twice, but at the beginning of the season I told him, with my system, if he doesn't score as a central midfield player 8 to 10 goals, I'm going to kill him. Obviously he went straight away forward because he scored twice, only tonight, but he wasn't lucky. The second goal was a little deflection, but for me it was important that he was in the right place, in the right time, at the edge of the box. Once we are going to counter, he supported very well up front. He was in the right position to score. This is why he scored.
Yeah, out the views of both managers there. Well, in all, there were 14 championship sides up against teams from League Two, so a chance for those players in the lower leagues to really make a name for themselves. We start our first round-up tonight with a Lancashire derby. Playoff finalists Blackpool up against Morecambe for the very first time.
It could have been the Manchester United and City for Blackpool this year, instead a rather different local affair as the beaten playoff finalists get set for another championship season. And they made a dreadful start. Luis Alessandra had League Two Morecambe in front in the 6th minute. That stung the Seasiders, who'd lost just once on their own patch so far in 2012. Matt Phillips tried to turn the tide. Morecambe have form when it comes to League Cup upsets, dumping out Barnsley and Coventry in the last 2 seasons. And a hat-trick of championship scalps was on when Andrew Fleming broke free. Even at 2 down, history suggested Blackpool couldn't be counted out. The second highest scorers in their division last season, always likely to muster a spirited response. Phillips leading the charge, and Gary Taylor-Fletcher thwarted brilliantly. Barry Roach was beaten eventually. With 13 minutes to go, the result very much back in the balance thanks to Alex Baptiste. Backs to the wall time now for Morecambe, but they made the short journey home bubbling with enthusiasm for what's to come. Phillips once again found himself cursing the woodwork as Morecambe survived. A sharp reminder for one of the Championship's pre-season promotion favourites that they can take nothing for granted.
Aldershot at home can't have been the standout fixture the Wolves' new manager Ståle Solbakken had in mind for his English debut. Wolves only got going while Sylvain Ebanks-Blake fired them ahead after half-time, thanks to Tongo Dumbia's good work in the build-up. Within 9 minutes, however, Wolves are undone. Josh Payne's corner, Mark Rankin's header. And that's how it stayed through full-time and extra time. 13 spot kicks, including this one by Anthony Ford, were successful. But number 14 proved unlucky for Jordan Roberts, as Carly Kamey saved. So a winning start for Wolves' new boss, and no repeat of last year's humiliating exit at Northampton.
First task for Steve Bruce at Hull, find a regular source of goals. Liam Rosenior's effort was the most spectacular of several near misses against Rotherham of League Two. When Lionel Ainsworth plundered a debut goal for Steve Evans' side, it looked like the Tigers might pay for their lack of teeth. Hull had fallen at the first hurdle in 3 of their last 4 League Cup campaigns, but were rescued with 20 minutes remaining. Aaron McLean on target, following good work from Cameron Stewart. Rotherham deserved more from this Yorkshire derby. It took a high-quality shootout to settle it. 13 successful spot kicks preceded the match-deciding miss from Mark Bradley. Hull go into the second round, but with plenty to improve upon before the weekend. Tony Mowbray spent the summer reshaping Middlesbrough. Plenty of comings and goings before they kicked off at Bury. One of his new faces, Grant Ledbetter, forced an excellent save from the Shakers' Trevor Carson. Marvin Emmes began the previous campaign with a League Cup hat-trick at Warsaw. Again, the onus is on him to be Borough's goal-getter-in-chief. Well, how's that for starters? With Lukas Jutkiewicz injured and Scott McDonald out of favour, the front 3 was completed by Luke Williams and Argentine new boy Emmanuel Ledesma. The latter made the most of Carson's fumble to make it 2-0 before the hour. Bury's season couldn't have begun any worse, losing manager Richie Barker to the clutches and the cash of Crawley. Mark Hughes pulled one back, but that was as good as it got for the Shakers. In stoppage time, player coach Effie Soji, all 6'4" and 39 years of him, saw a straight red for this clash with Luke Williams. Moggers men into round 2.
I think, Bury on their own pitch are a test for anybody, and they had a go. I think, we got ourselves in our noses in front and looked reasonably comfortable. We talked at half time about getting the second and finishing the game off, which we did, but then conceded a goal straight away. So it was a slightly more nervous last 15 minutes than we'd have liked.
Semi-finalists last year, Crystal Palace expected a better start than this in the West Country. John O'Flynn nodding Exeter in front inside the first 2 minutes. But the excitement didn't last for the League Two team. Joel Ward's cross judged to have been handled by Tom Docherty. And after the home side's lengthy discussions with the assistant who flagged for the penalty, Jermaine Easter took the chance to put Palace back on track. A thunderous spot kick to beat goalkeeper Artur Krysiak, who was left helpless again when Wilfried Zaha turned up the turbo to leave two defenders trailing. Kagisho Dikachoy first to the bouncing ball. Exeter's early optimism crushed by the Palace turnaround. And with Zaha in the mood, their plight might have worsened after the break, only for Easter to make a hash of the easy bit. Palace almost paid for failing to kill off the contest. Exeter nearly saving themselves, as O'Flynn's audacious effort made sure Lewis Price was on his toes. And the Londoners were anxious again with the ball fizzing around their box, but Dougie Freedman's men held firm to rid themselves of an unwanted statistic ahead of a new league season. This finally their first away win of 2012.
However much talk he had dreamed about upsetting one of the Championship's big boys, Leicester never once looked like playing ball. Goals arrived at regular intervals and all of them in the home net. First to benefit was Lloyd Dyer, helped by Joe Ostler's stumble to give Leicester the lead. Then Ben Marshall turned on the star with another special to add to his growing collection. The second half was just as one-sided, as two of Leicester's debutants got amongst the goals. Jermaine Beckford set Matty James on his way 5 minutes after the restart. And Jamie Vardy, signed from Fleetwood, was rewarded for his non-stop running when Marshall's accuracy left him with a simple header for number 4.
Having invested in the playing staff, expectations are high at Cardiff this season. When debutant Heide Helgason was bundled over for a penalty, things seemed to be going according to plan. The striker took it himself and gave an understrength City side a 4th-minute lead. Cardiff were without several internationals, a situation Malky Mackay described as bizarre, but there was no excusing the ease with which David Artell headed home Ben Tozer's long throw. Another Northampton set-piece sent last year's finalists tumbling out of the competition. Alex Nichols' header earning a fantastic result for the League Two side.
I think in a cup competition with a team 2 leagues above you, I think you're always a bit fearful that you play to your maximum. I thought we had a slow start, but I thought we grew into the game and we got better and better. And you know, we got Cardiff on a good night. There were a few players had to pull out for international call-ups. We've just been thrown together. So on the night, I thought we did deserve it. Yeah.
Great comeback win that from Northampton, so a good start to the season for Adi Boothroyd. Now, having run away with the Blue Square Premier League title last season, Fleetwood Town are this season's new boys in the Football League, and the first round threw a fascinating home tie for them against Nottingham Forest, who have made changes, of course, both on and off the field. So this gave us our first chance to have a look at Sean O'Driscoll's reshaped side. Your commentator for this one, Steve Bauer.
A piece of footballing history for Fleetwood Town, and a moment many in these parts thought would never be possible. Their first match as a league club and a debut in this competition. And it's the 4 times winners who they welcome to the Fylde Coast as Nottingham Forest begin life under Sean O'Driscoll. Both teams have been busy in the summer transfer market. Fleetwood named 6 of their 11 new signings in the starting lineup. 4 new faces for Nottingham Forest. They include Spanish under-21 defender Daniel Ayala, well as a full debut for 21-year-old goalkeeper Carl Darlow, as regular number 1 Lee Camp is away on international duty with Northern Ireland. Launched by Scott Davis, run by McLaughlin. Helped forward by Guediora. Foul on ball by Danny Collins. It'll be a free kick to Fleetwood. In from Barry Nicholson towards Parkin, who got a touch. And gathered by Carl Darlow. Well rehearsed, well practiced. Blackstock's header. Maguire. Stopped by Holford. Majewski made a run ahead of him. Harding. McGugan. Good delivery. Strong punch from Davis. Nottingham Forest throw. Certainly an improvement from the Championship team in this second period. Here's McGugan once more. Delivered once more to Blackstock, who thought he scored. And so too did those Nottingham Forest supporters behind that goal. And thanks to Blackstock, who got 8 goals last season, was mightily close to his first of the new campaign there. Nice touch from Ball. Now can Fleetwood get something moving here with Parkin? That wasn't the correct pass from John Parkin. Forest have it back. McGugan. In from Reed. Free header, surely. Second time. Dexter Blackstock with the breakthrough. Having just hit the woodwork. Right in front of the travelling supporters. He gives the Championship team the lead. Andy Reid with the quality delivery. Davis with the first save, and then it was a simple tap-in from the rebound for Dexter Blackstock. Ayala needs to join in the attack. He was looking to feed Blackstock. Well watched by Howell. Nottingham Forest corner. Short, back to Reed. He was looking for Collins, who won it in the air. Blackstock almost made the second ball, and the overhead kick from Holford. Another by Davis. Wasn't a straightforward opportunity, that's for sure, but it was on target. Mangan. Now Howe. Crossfield looking for Gillespie and finding him. Gillespie went for goal. Not a bad try from Stephen Gillespie. Beautifully found by Dean Howe. 2 touches, and the third, though, was always rising and over the crossbar.
Nottingham Forest, 2 levels above us. I don't think MD would have came to the game today. I've got to give my lads tremendous credit, and would have known that there was 2 divisions between the 2 teams. There's no doubt about that. I'm pleased with an awful lot of what happened this evening. I know that we've still got work to do, but certainly they've gave me a lot to work with.
They've just come into the league, and you know we're a Championship side, so I think the credit goes to Fleetwood. First game in the football, you know, as a league club, so you know they can take the plaudits from tonight. We'll take the result, but I think they can take the plaudits.
So Forest in the hat for round 2. More action now starting at Boundary Park, and 1990 League Cup finalists Oldham Athletic. Although their recent run in the Cup hasn't been quite so good, they've won only 1 in 10 in the Cup in open play since. Their opponents were Sheffield Wednesday, who of course under Dave Jones last season timed their promotion charge to the Championship to perfection when they're unbeaten in 14. This game was watched by Dan O'Hagan.
Here's Cliff Byrne for Oldham. Now Byrne will go long here towards Jordan Slew, who's made the run, away by Gardner for Sheffield Wednesday. Now Robbie Simpson takes it up for Oldham. They've made a good strong start here, the Latics. Here's Wesolowski. And now Byrne. Byrne for Croft. Stays in play. Croft now for Wesolowski here. Pull back for Jordan Slew. An Oldham score. And the former Sheffield United junior, Sheffield-born Jordan Slew, has the biggest smile of all inside Boundary Park. Debut goal taken wonderfully. Changamar on this corner for Oldham. And it goes. Come a long way. It's going to be kept alive here now by Tarkowski. Tarkowski and Antonia. Heavy tackle, but play goes on here. Wednesday feel there was a foul there on Mikel Antonia, but The referee has let this one go by. And now here's Croft. And Croft to centre for Jean-Yves Mboto! And it's 2 for Oldham. And Wednesday are absolutely livid. Play went on. Play to the whistle. Oldham did just that. And Jean-Yves Mboto makes it 2-0. In by Raider Johnson here for Pechnik. And Pechnik here. Again, the referees let play go. It's Croft. Here's Mikel Antonio. Twists and turns. And caught by Croft. Penalty. Well, having had a big hand in Oldham's 2 goals here, he may well have had a hand in a potential comeback for Wednesday. Nate Pechnik from the spot over the bar. Well, the man whose goal once booked his nation Slovenia a World Cup place, as here at Boundary Park, skied from 12 yards. Helped on here now to Mikel Antonio. Came off Byrne. It's going to come across now here to Jermaine Johnson. Oh, it's gone through Cisak. One of League One's highest rated goalkeepers here was all at sea. Jermaine Johnson, the former Oldham loanee, has given Wednesday a route back into the game. It's a Miguel Llera free kick here, and O'Grady's header and parity. O'Grady, as an Oldham player, never scored for them. Here he returns with Wednesday and finds the net to make it 2-2 and complete the comeback. Kirkland's target here is Mikel Antonio. Here's Jose Semedo. Lewis Buxton does well here, the fullback, well advanced. Jermaine Johnson, Nate Pechnik. Can he turn? Yes, he can. O'Grady turns and scores, and Wednesday now lead by 3-2. How this game has changed, how Wednesday have changed. In the first half, abject, second half, deadly. Here's Giles Coke for Sheffield Wednesday. Now it's Anthony Gardner. And Gardner here, if he gets the ball right, can get Antonio clear. For Sheffield Wednesday, Mikel Antonio twists and turns and scores wonderfully. Mikel Antonio makes it 4, seals the tie. On loan last year they loved him, now he's theirs for keeps. Wednesday through to round 2.
We've worked really hard pre-season. We've never let ourselves down. In all the time I've been here at this football club, and it's a short space of time, it's the worst 45 I've ever seen anybody play, and they know that, and the best way is to respond to what they did, and if they listen and go out and do what they did, then I have no complaints from them. But we just need to sit down and assess it and go through it, and it's the early part of the season, we still know we've got a lot of work to do, but it was nice to come back, but it wasn't a nice situation to be in it after 45 minutes.
You know, we started ever so well, doing the right things with and without the ball. You know, got into a good lead, and then I think a few of them got a little bit too giddy. That we were up with the first game of the season, and it being on telly and everything else, and we lost our shape without the ball, and we stopped passing it when we had the ball.
Neil Warnock's Leeds featured 8 new players winning business from the off. Rodolphe Austin may not have beaten goalkeeper Chris Wheel, but Luciano Becchio certainly did. And within 6 minutes, Shrewsbury had fallen further behind. Becchio was again involved. Luke Varney and Ross McCormack traded passes before Varney eventually applied the finish. The League One club did have their chances to come back. This clever free kick from Mark Wright deserved better from Marvin Morgan after Paddy Kenny had spilled the ball. And Shrewsbury paid for their failure to score. David Norris's persistence opened up their defence, and his quick thinking helped him benefit most from Luke Varney's header to bring about goal number 3 for Leeds. And a 4th was only round the corner. Minutes later, Norris did the legwork again. Paul Green was put through, only to find Michael Hector's hands getting in the way. And so last season's top scorer, Ross McCormack, helped himself to his first of this campaign. Job done.
we played into Leeds' hands. Players were warned before the game, players were warned at half-time that Leeds set themselves up to go and press the ball high up the pitch. And we made mistakes and it proved very costly.
Don't talk to Sheffield United about penalties. Their season has begun just as it ended in a shootout defeat. And the Blades were a touch fortunate to make it that far. League Two Burton gave them a thorough working over. Adil Yusuf put the Brewers ahead just after the half hour. Sheffield United levelled just after the break. Nick Blackman had signed from Blackburn 24 hours earlier. Fast-tracked into the first team, the striker scored with his first touch to take the game into extra time. Burton would like to see that kind of goal return from Cleveland Taylor. It's been suggested that he doesn't get as many as he should. The Brewers will love this one then. It came on 97 minutes. Great feat from Taylor, who looked like he enjoyed it too. The Blades were handed away back into the game when Nathan Stanton was penalised for this challenge on Callum McFadzean. Burton thought it was shoulder to shoulder. Referee Trevor Kettle felt otherwise. Neil Collins scored for United in their League One playoff final shootout. He scored here too, but only at the second time of asking. It proved too much for Marcus Holness. Booked for questioning the penalty decision moments earlier, the defender lashed out and received a second yellow inside a minute. Not the best start to his Burton career. Holness will have to wait a couple more weeks to make his league debut. The eventual shootout wasn't as epic as the one the Blades lost at Wembley. Michael Doyle was the fall guy this time. Ross Atkins' save put Burton on the brink of the second round. Taylor stepped up and confirmed Burton's first ever win in the competition.
It took Watford a while, extra time required, but Gianfranco Zola's managerial debut for the Hornets passed without embarrassment. One of their trio of loanees from Udinese, Matej Vydra, unlocking the defence before Chris Uwalumo finished off League Two Wickham.
I'm pleased with that because we needed to have a very competitive game and a tough game. We had it, and so therefore I'm looking forward to starting working with the players again.
Bristol City in the League Cup don't exactly see eye to eye. They'd won just one home tie in 9 years ahead of the meeting with League Two Gillingham. Coming up, a bizarre handball by Liam Fontaine, literally lying down on the job. No David James these days. Dean Gherkin, the goalkeeper, beaten emphatically by dual skipper Danny Kedwell. Into the second half, and a corner by Charlie Allen, son of manager Martin, saw Tom Flanagan's shot poked in decisively by Ben Strevens on debut. Marvin Elliott scored a consolation for the Robins as they went out to League Two opposition for the third year in a row. An eventful match at Spotland saw Andrew Toots' opener threaten to make it an unhappy return for former manager Keith Hill. His departure from Rochdale is still a source of irritation for Dale fans. They were to be disappointed again when Barnsley levelled through John Stones. The Tykes were trying to avoid a third straight League Cup defeat to lower league opposition. Craig Davis's goal 11 minutes from time looked to have done the trick. Or so we thought. Inexplicably, and with 90 minutes on the clock, goalkeeper Ben Anik did this. The headbutt on Ray Putterill earned Rochdale a penalty and a straight red card for the keeper. As moments of madness go, this one will take some beating. Having used all their subs, defender Bobby Hassel went in goal, but he couldn't prevent Jason Kennedy from taking the tie into extra time. Fortunately for Anik, Barnsley were bailed out by Chris Dagnall. His 2 goals in 5 minutes took the Championship side into the second round. For Rochdale, it meant a first-round exit for the 15th time in the last 19 seasons. It's safe to say this isn't Dale's competition. But they still had something left here and claimed a second penalty when Davis handballed Craig Curran's shot. Hassel had no better luck with dealing with a second Kennedy penalty.
This was a first for both teams. They'd never met before in any competition, and both managers, Lee Clark and Mark Robson, had their first competitive matches in charge. And what a start it was. John Nurse stunning the home crowd when he gave the League Two side the lead after half an hour. But that was about as good as it got for Barnet. Birmingham, the cup winners in 2011, came charging back minutes later when Marlon King won a penalty, brought down by Clovis Camjo. King himself took it with ease against the club where he started his career. Barnet, however, nearly regained the lead before the break. How's this for great speed and great vision from Ricky Holmes, beating the goalkeeper, but not the post. Pity was the follow-ups couldn't keep up the pressure. After half-time, though, it was one-way traffic. First, Steve Caldwell gave Birmingham the lead with his first goal for the club. And then it was the turn of Darren Ambrose to mark his debut with some trademark quality just before the hour. Defenders stand off the former Palace player at their peril, and that's why Lee Clark was so keen to sign him. Birmingham added some late gloss when Peter Lovenkrantz scored his first goal since joining from Newcastle. And still, Birmingham weren't finished. Into stoppage time, and Wade Elliott found time to drive in this effort. The power of team spirit, apparently.
But what I've found out tonight is that not only have I got a great group of players in terms of the quality of them, I've got great characters as well, because for a couple of minutes in the dressing room I just sat and listened to what was being said amongst them, and with great respect to each other, we told each other in no uncertain terms that it wasn't acceptable, and we went out in the second half and produced a much better performance and scored some terrific goals.
A bolt from the blue had Ipswich on the back foot against League Two opposition. Michael Smith's magnificent strike nicking the lead for Bristol Rovers against a run of play. Jason Scotland's reply may have been less spectacular, but it was equally effective. The daisy cutter had Paul Jewell's men back on terms in a game they largely controlled. It seemed to be more of a case of when rather than if they'd take the lead, and Adam Virgo's second half lunge at Luke Hyam had Portman Road ready to roar. But the home fans were forced to wait, Sam Walker marking his debut on loan from Chelsea by denying Michael Chopra. A very short-lived reprieve. From the corner, Tommy Smith turned out to be unstoppable. Ipswich on course for a win which Rovers manager Mark McGee admitted was fair enough. His side battled gamely but ran out of steam, and there was little surprise when Aaron Cresswell made the scoreline more convincing 6 minutes from the end.
In a brand new shocking pink kit, there was no hiding place for Port Vale. They began like they'd not need one. Chris Shuker's free kick beating Burnley goalkeeper Lee Grant, just his second goal for the club. The lead lasted just 2 minutes. Jason Shackle, newly signed from Derby, thumped home a header to level up the tie. Next, a mistake by young Vale defender Joe Davis, whose dad Steve used to play for Burnley. His wayward ball picked off by Dean Marnie, who then teed up Charlie Austin. 2-1 to the Championship side. Marnie himself secured passage to round 2. He didn't score at all last season. When you see him score a goal as good as this one, you wonder why this was just his 15th goal of a 9-year career. A more than solid start for Eddie House Clarets.
So how long have you got? 10 goals and 14 penalties coming up. This is the good bit for Derby fans. 10 stunning first half minutes when Richard Keogh opened the scoring and everything turned to gold. Jake Buxton rose to make it 2-0. And then Theo Robinson rounded off a startling purple patch and looked to have secured an unassailable lead, 3-0 at half-time. Wrong. Prepare for the Scunthorpe comeback. Andy Barcham set the tone with this piece of skill soon after the restart. Buxton then looked to have stalled it to make it 4-1. But Mike Greller responded with a shot that any forward would have been proud of. Turning point approaching. Derby win a penalty. If successful, they'll go 5-2 clear. But Scunthorpe's Sam Slocum proves too good for Theo Robinson, and 1 minute later Scunthorpe are down the other end of the field, and they make it 4-3 through Bobby Grant. Watch him, he's a key player in this drama. Back come Derby, 8 minutes remaining, and Nathan Tyson sends them clear again at 5-3. Surely, the end of the road for the visitors. Oh no. Why do you think they're called the Iron? Driving them forward again with 7 minutes of stoppage time, substitute Connor Jennings scrambles in their 4th goal. The seconds are ticking away, but Scunthorpe are attacking again. They make one penalty claim, denied. Then another as Josh Walker is tackled by Michael Jacobs. It's given. Enter Bobby Grant. Told you he was important. 5-all. Extra time, no more goals. Penalties, and plenty of them. Until Derby's Tom Naylor rattled the bar. And it's good night Derby, 7-6 in the shootout. No wonder Scunthorpe's Alan Mills said it felt like December after going through such agonies.
What a game at Pride Park. 23 goals in all, and very well done to Scunthorpe on just about getting through. Now, after a traumatic summer, of course, where Portsmouth Football Club got rid of every senior player, the last of which was Liam Lawrence, of course, it means that manager Michael Appleton has to now rely on trialists and youth players. Well, their first real test was along the south coast against Plymouth.
Having released all their senior players, Portsmouth could only field teenagers alongside first-team coach Ashley Westwood at home park. He had already departed injured before Johnny Gorman got Plymouth's first. In Westwood's absence, Pompey's eldest outfield player was now just 18. To their credit, the youngsters held on until Argyle plundered 2 goals in the last 4 minutes. Paris Cowan-Hall and Nick Chadwick confirming a 3-0 defeat. But with Balram Shanrai withdrawing his offer to buy the club, his first round exit looks like being the least of Portsmouth's worries.
Before they begin their championship campaign, a fixture that harked back to last season for Charlton. In March they beat Leyton Orient 2-0 on their way to the League One title, and Scott Wagstaff's goal had them anticipating another success. But right on half-time the O's rose to the occasion, Matthew Baldry to be more precise, levelling the scores. 4 minutes after the restart, David Mooney tumbled under Laurie Wilson's challenge. The Orient midfielder no stranger to the Valley, where he spent a spell on loan, but he failed to make himself at home. On the sidelines, things were heating up. Charlton boss Chris Powell sent to the stands as his frustration boiled over with the game heading beyond extra time to penalties. Johnny Jackson and Wilson both missed to leave the Addicts on the brink. Orient's 4-3 shootout success clinched by Ryan Brunt. For mid-August, all very dramatic.
Yeah, the league programme's not even started yet, but that was a big game really, and a lot of players putting in a lot of work and a lot of endeavour into the game, so delighted in the end that we came out on top.
What a difference a close season makes. Preston's Graham Westley started and finished this game with a standing ovation. He included no less than 10 summer signings, and one of them, Jack King, the former Woking midfielder, who played for Westley at Farnborough, launched his full-time career with his first goal. And it wasn't long before another new man struck. Nicky Rose, signed from Shrewsbury, probably couldn't really miss when he doubled their lead before half-time. Huddersfield never recovered, and Simon Grayson's championship side slipped out of the competition.
Southend faced Peterborough, who had hit 4 in each of their previous 3 first-round ties. The game was over by half-time as Peterborough tore into the Shrimpers. First up, highly rated former non-leaguer Lee Tomlin. Not many players have both Vauxhall Motors and Anderlecht on their CVs. Paul Taylor does. After a summer of speculation, a goal like this will see his stock rise further. Another came 90 seconds later. Joe Newell at 19 claiming a spectacular second senior goal. The 2-division gap all too obvious. There was one further posh goal in the second half, another player linked with a move away, George Boyd, wrapping up an emphatic win for Darren Ferguson's team.
Not even 3 managers in 5 months can check Crawley's momentum. Richie Barker got the top job just 7 days before the trip to Millwall. Hope Akpan's goal made it a perfect start. Millwall were one of 6 championship casualties in the first round, but they didn't go without a fight. Darren Ward had them level before half-time. But having already beaten Millwall in pre-season, Crawley were always quietly confident of a shock, especially after Nicky Adams' debut goal. But with 5 minutes remaining, Claude Davis's mistake threw the Lions a lifeline. Sean Batt, on loan at Crawley last season, took the tie into extra time. Goalkeeper Paul Jones was signed during Sean O'Driscoll's 2-month spell as Crawley boss. He made the crucial save, as this one was decided on penalties. David Hunt stepped up to confirm Crawley's first ever appearance in the League Cup second round.
Crewe continued where they left off in May, stretching their club record unbeaten run to 20 matches. 2 sublime touches from AJ Leach-Smith set them on their way against hapless Hartlepool. And he was close to adding a second before Matthias Pogba retrieved the ball and set up Max Clayton to stretch the lead instead. Pool's manager Neil Cooper was horrified by his side's defensive display, one of the worst he'd ever seen, he said. Pogba, enjoying an impressive debut, wasn't complaining. The goals flowing freely for Steve Davis's newly promoted team, a sign perhaps they can take the step up to League One in their stride. By half-time they were 4 goals to the good. Clayton's precise finish crowning an incisive counter-attack. There was nothing much to improve the mood on the Hartlepool bench after the break. Even a free header for Andy Monkhouse could only increase their irritation, kissing the post with Anthony Sweeney's follow-up tip to safety. Garbage was Cooper's overall assessment, while Crewe can approach the new league campaign full of belief. Their rousing success wrapped up by a second goal for Pogba in the final minute, taking the score to 5.
Three divisions separated these two last year. Now after Doncaster's relegation and York's promotion, it's just 1. And the League Two boys shocked their South Yorkshire rivals when they took the lead through Michael Coulson after 65 minutes. But Rovers, without a home win since January the 2nd, were level 9 minutes later. David Cottrell was brought down by Lee Bullock and Chris Brown did the honours. Neither side could find another way through in normal time or extra time, and that's when the evening turned sour for Coulson. He and crucially Matty Blair missed their penalties in the shootout. Rovers go through 4-2.
So Doncaster just about squeezing through at the expense of York City. To our final roundup tonight, and to Coventry City, who of course spent the summer regrouping after their relegation to the 3rd tier for the first time in 48 years. And the omens weren't looking good ahead of their game against Dagenham and Redbridge, with the Sky Blues' last away win in the Cup coming in 2007.
Andy Thorne's Coventry began life as a 3rd-tier side with the first-round tie at Dagenham and Redbridge, a club the Sky Blues had never faced before. The Daggers' Scott Doe went close, his shot clipping Joe Murphy's bar as the home team made the better first-half chances. Another one here for Josh Scott. A swerving shot after a strong run, just veering wide of goal at the last moment. Cody MacDonald had one of Coventry's rare openings, but he shot well over the crossbar. There was a goal right at the end of 90 minutes. Mickey Spillane penalised for a push on Richard Wood. Kevin Kilban, one of Thorne's summer arrivals, stepped up for Coventry and kept his nerve to win the tie for the Sky Blues. 1-0 the final score.
Carlisle found a way past a determined Accrington at Brunton Park, but it took a finish of real quality from Matty Robson to see off the League Two side. Stanley have beaten higher-ranked opposition in 2 of the last 3 seasons and had opportunities thanks to the lively Aidan Chippendale. But after 5 clean sheets in pre-season, Carlisle were once again in no mood to give anything away.
Half a dozen men made their debuts for Notts County against Bradford, with more still in reserve. But for the post, Alan Sheehan would have had the home side in front, and manager Keith Curle might have been waxing lyrical afterwards about the quality of his much-changed squad. Instead, one of the new boys, Yain Aki, missed from 5 yards after Matt Duke's fine save, before League Two Bradford wrote the headlines in extra time. Curl forced to admit his side may take time to gel after James Hanson was afforded the space to curl in a fabulous winner.
Manager Dean Smith has overseen a major overhaul at Walsall. Well, the new combination started brightly enough. When Will Griggs' effort was blocked, Ashley Hemmings was on hand to arrow home. A debut goal for the former Wolves youngster. Brentford's hopes of staging a comeback nosedived in the 25th minute when Jake Reeves leapt into a challenge on Adam Chambers. Bees boss Uwe Rosler had no complaints about the red card. Try as the Saddlers did to make their numerical advantage count, Florent Cuvelier's drive was as close as they came to a second. Indeed, they were almost forced into added time as Clayton Donaldson picked out Toumani Diagouraga, but the Frenchman couldn't convert.
Both sides lack key players going into this match, and both also suffered during it from a lack of finishing power. The home defence somehow survived this attack as Mark Pugh teased them and then came close to giving Bournemouth the lead. One of Oxford's best opportunities fell to Adam Chapman, who brought the best out of Shwan Jalal. But for all their efforts, a penalty shootout became the only answer to deliver a winner. A time for heroes like Oxford keeper Ryan Clark, and a time for the ground to open up if your kick is saved, as happened to Mark Pugh. Damien Batt, by contrast, showed him what's required at such a pressured moment. Oxford scored all 5 of their kicks. Bournemouth suffered their 8th defeat in 9 seasons in the first round.
A sunny summer's evening at Broadhall Way soon turned sour for AFC Wimbledon's new signing Pim Balkestein. An own goal put Stevenage 1 up in this meeting of 2 clubs who'd never won a League Cup tie. Now this was unfortunate, not just someone walking past the camera lens, but the back pass from Sammy Moore, then the miss kick by Seb Brown. A gift then for James Dunn to score on his Stevenage debut. The Wombles got back to 2-1 with a superbly worked goal. Christian Jolly released Luke Moore, and he carved out a first senior goal for Brendan Kiernan. Stevenage secured their first win in the competition right on half-time. Canadian striker Marcus Haber meeting a Greg Tansey free kick. The final touch credited to Mark Roberts.
Tranmere claimed victory at the renamed Proact Stadium. The frustration for Rovers was that they had to wait until extra time to do it. Jean-Louis Akpro was one of several Tranmere players to go close in 90 minutes. Cole Stockton was later denied by the upright as the League One side rattled the woodwork in both halves. A pre-season injury crisis had left Tranmere short on bodies for this one. 18-year-old Stockton made the most of his opportunity, netting his first senior goal 3 minutes into extra time. With 6 players missing, 3 of them central defenders, Tranmere remained vulnerable. Veteran striker Jack Lester put the Spireites on level terms with only 11 minutes remaining. But with penalties looming, another youngster settled the match. Abdullah Belbagi's first for the club came with seconds remaining and earned Rovers a second round trip to Aston Villa.
Having bared their chests in a successful bid to attract a new kit sponsor, Yeovil bared their teeth and tore Colchester apart. 4 minutes all it took for Richard Hines to crash the home side into the lead. Their opponents took almost all of the first half to create a meaningful chance and found Marek Stech equal to Anthony Wordsworth's pile driver. Back at the other end, Yeovil's unexpected hero was about to strike again, Hines with a terrific header. 2 goals in a game, matching his personal tally for the past 4 seasons, and he lapped up the acclaim. Colchester's manager John Ward made no excuses afterwards, admitting his men were well beaten. Keanu Marsh-Brown's delightful dink over the keeper rubber-stamped Yeovil's progress to the second round for the first time in 4 years.
The MK Dons were convincing 4-1 winners when these sides met in this round on this ground a year ago. And they again started with plenty of intent as Jay O'Shea rattled the woodwork. League Two Cheltenham were right in the tie and must have sensed a real opportunity when Stephen Gleeson's challenge on Sam Deering brought his involvement to an end. The 10 men rallied and O'Shea's trickery teed up the opening goal for Dean Bowditch on the stroke of half-time. Both these sides endured playoff anguish in May. Cheltenham, who were beaten to promotion to League One by Crewe at Wembley, produced a stunning equaliser to launch this new season. Qaid Mohammed with an absolute corker. Dean Lewington was only a whisker away from sealing it for the Dons in extra time. But it went to a shootout, and the heartbreak moment from 12 yards belonged to Robin striker Darryl Duffy. Keeper David Martin with the decisive save. The Dons were foot perfect, converting all 5 penalties, with Ryan Lowe dispatching the last to send the League One side into round 2.
Well, both the Swindon goal scorers are with me, Paul Benson, Alan Navarro. I didn't see that coming in the first half, Paul.
No, I said that to Nams actually as I come off, sat on the bench. I said that you wouldn't have thought there'd be 3 goals in that after the first half. You know, it was very cagey, tactical affair. You know, it was cat and mouse. You didn't know who was going to go for it. There wasn't a lot of chances, and I think the killer was the first goal as it normally is in football.
Yeah.
You know,
I've never seen one player get so many hugs from both sides or both sets of players. I mean, did Gus ever do that to you when you were actually playing there?
Not really. No, I've still got a lot of friends at Brighton. You know, we left there a couple of months ago. But on the pitch, as it goes, there's no friends on the pitch, and I'm here to do a job with basically my new friends now, and hopefully it'll continue.
OK, well, let's take a look at how the draw for the second round shaped up then in the Capital One Cup. Premier League side West Brom faced a tricky tie away to Yeovil. There's a tasty Midlands affair at the Rico between Coventry and the 2011 winners Birmingham. Newly promoted Sheffield Wednesday will lock horns with top flight side Fulham at Hillsborough, while Burton Albion have been rewarded after their win at Bramall Lane with a trip to Championship side Leicester. After that win over Brighton, Swindon are away to Premier League Stoke, hoping to cause another upset. Morecambe's win against local rivals Blackpool means they now face Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, while Scunthorpe's reward for that epic win over Derby is a trip to Premier League side Norwich. Well, that's it from the county ground. As if you need reminding, the Premier League returns at the weekend. So too does Match of the Day, so join Gary at 10:20 on BBC One, followed, of course, by the Football League show at 11:40. Thanks to everyone at Swindon Town for their hospitality tonight. Look forward to your company on Saturday, but for now, goodbye.